Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another edition of Creative Monday Discussion. I'm your host, Mervin Budram, and I will be with you for the next hour and a half or so. Tonight, I'm excited because I'll be joined by some amazing guests, some panel guest friends, entrepreneurs, business owners, colleagues, both from here in Belize as well as in the US. And tonight, we are talking about the entrepreneurial business owner versus COVID. As you guys all know, we are in a very interesting time in the world. We can actually say in the world because what's happening is a global issue. It has had impact not just on a specific region, but on a global region, and it's especially have impacted the business community and every other sector for that matter. And tonight we want to talk with some entrepreneurs, some business owners, and kind of get a pulse from them, what it's been like over this last few months. But before we jump in and introduce our guests, I want to ask you guys to use the comment section. If you have questions, we have professionals in a wide sector in the business community. So if you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to comment in the comment section, and we want you guys to be a part of this discussion tonight. Also share the link, invite some friends, and have them be a part of this evening. And so I wanna we time isn't on our hands, so we're gonna just jump in and get rolling. And I wanna introduce my first guest for tonight. So this individual, he's a good friend of mine. I actually met him, I think it was in 2018. I had the opportunity to be a part of the Young Leaders of America initiative, the YLI initiative, which took me to Boston for 5 weeks. And I had the opportunity to be a part of their organization, their business in Boston. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I got challenged a lot as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and I was able to kind of take my business from one level to the next just through his input in my life. So I won't say much more. I want to give him opportunity as well to introduce himself, but I want to have you guys welcome a good friend of mine, William Neidlinger. Did I say it right? Did I get it right this time? I just call him Bill. If you did I get it right, Bill?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me join you, and also this group of folks who are going to, create a great conversation and share a lot of insight into what's going on right now.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Bill, what you do, what you're currently doing, and any other things you want to share.
Yeah, and you hinted at how we met, and then also we were able to do a joint project of Innovate Belize and create conversation. Right. Yes. It was like 6, 7, 8, 9 months of crazy time and doing some great work. And around that, the whole goal was to create conversation and ideas in exchange for and to get access to. And I think one of the things right now, it's very tough to do that. So what you're doing right here is part of creating a solution for ideas to be discussed and for people to access. We're all isolated and we all need to reach out. Awesome. So a little bit about me. I always say I'm a creative marketing problem solver. I've worked with everything from within financial institutions to in boutique agency and as a consultant, all around creating compelling content, getting people to communicate, be it CEOs of global companies or just small business owners. We all face the kind of the same problems with trying to connect, communicate, engage, and entice people and get people in the marketing funnel. And currently now I'm working with Brilliant Move, a startup focused on last mile delivery and digitally transforming that, which is creating a web-like experience for people to be able to be a part of the delivery economy, be it retailers, delivery providers, or consumers itself. And yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's some awesome stuff. All right. So it's a pleasure having you. I'm looking forward to the discussion tonight. We have a lot of questions that came in from folks in the business community here in Belize, and so I'm
Great.
looking forward for us to kind of get into that a little bit later on tonight. So let me move on to my next guest for this evening.
I'll slide over the couch, right?
Yeah, head over the couch.
At the night show thing, I'll just slide over as the band
Well,
plays.
we're doing the Brady Bunch, right? So like if the
great.
differential, everyone will be on the screen throughout the night, right? So and again, I guess I'm revealing my age as well. I'm from the Brady Bunch era, right?
Me too.
Yeah. So
I read about it.
Yeah. There you go. Well, my next guest, she's a friend. She has become a friend. I would say just in this last year and a half, we've connected, and she's launched out and starting her business here in Belmopan as an artist and someone who's championing artists forward and the creative arts and not creative arts, sorry, the fine art, drawing, music, and all of that. And so, anyways, she launched her company earlier on. Well, we were supposed to have this huge launch. We still need to have this huge launch, by the way. And but COVID happened, right? COVID happened, and COVID really kind of shifted things up. But we've been in touch throughout this time, and just watching what she's been doing in marketing, what she's been doing in keeping her business moving forward through this time has blown my mind. Actually, it's inspired me to kind of get up off my butt and get some stuff done, right? And get some marketing done. So it's a pleasure to have a good friend of mine, Saidy Godette, up and with us this evening. And I just want to welcome Saidy, and I want to ask you guys to welcome her to the screen. Saidy, how are you doing this evening?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good. Hello. Hi, William. All right.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Saidy.
Right. So I am from Guyana, and I moved here with my family, and I decided to start my own business. What I do, I own an art gallery. Also, I am the coordinator of the George Price Center for Peace and Development. And I am also finishing off my final month of my master's thesis. So it's a busy time. My thesis is in education and management. So awesome. Yeah. So basically, what I did is I launched an art gallery in Belmopan because I realized that artists in the capital, they need a home for their pieces. Yeah. Many of the artists, man, we have tremendous talent. The talent is vast. And when I say artists, I mean artists across the board, from acrylic to oil to musicians to artisans, whatever products they create. I wanted to create a home and a community for artists to express themselves, find one spot where everyone can go and we can have activities and sort of bring culture and the arts to the capital where it should be, where it really should be. And so that's what I'm doing. That's where I started. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's two explanations for it. It started and then COVID started. So we simultaneously started. So hopefully the discussion tonight, we're going to get to go through how it feels to start a business right when COVID began.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's one of the questions that came in. And so especially for you, I think you have very hands-on experience in that. So I'm looking forward to the insights from that, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, moving along, our next guest for this evening is a friend of mine as well. If you guys can realize, all of these are friends of mine, right? And you run it. The people you run with is important, right? So that's radically important to choose who's in your inner circle. So that's my first for the night. Who is in your inner circle and who's around you? That's radically important. So yeah, but my next guest is a friend. We go way back, actually. this is like even before I know Bill, we did Innovate Belize, but like that was like offspring of a idea that kind of was trying to happen years ago. And there was this movement called Kingdom Marketing Initiative. And we had like conferences, and we had some friends that came in from the US as well as here in Belize, and we pulled off a couple business initiative. And through one of those initiatives, I met Deniz. He's become a good friend. Both Deniz and his wife has become a good friend to my wife and I over the years. And so without any further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Deniz. He is actually from Memphis, Tennessee, right, Deniz? And he's joining us tonight. He's joining us tonight, and yeah. So welcome, Deniz, to the panel. I think your mic is muted.
All right, is that better?
Much better. There you go.
Awesome, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited to be on a panel with such great people. And I know that if y'all keep company with Merv, then you're good folks. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So Deniz, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. Give us a quick background.
Sure. So I was born in Munich, Germany, and came to the States when I was about a year and a half old. Grew up in a little small town called Jacksonville, Texas, that had about 14,000 people. My stepdad raised me pretty much from 2 years old up. So my stepdad there, but I call him my dad. So he was a tow truck driver. My mom was a factory worker. She worked at that same factory for 17, 18 years. And, it's interesting how I look at how things like COVID can happen and shift things in an instant, because for her, it wasn't something like COVID, but their company was going through a restructuring. And even though she was there for 17 years, just out of nowhere, she got laid off, and there was a small severance package, and then boom, that was it. And so the Railroad Commission ended up putting my dad's business kind of out because, again, I think as a business owner, if you don't understand how to pivot properly when an external force hits you, and an external force will hit you, then at some point you'll get derailed. So mother was a factory worker, dad was a tow truck driver. And at the moment I turned 18, I jumped into the oil field because that was my inspiration. That's, as far as I could think, because I knew that I could work 6 months out of the year, make, $100,000 a year. And it was just crazy hard manual labor. Had my son when I was 22 years old, got saved and met Jesus when I was 23 years old. And now at this point, I moved to Memphis, Tennessee. Did that 5 years ago. Did financial consulting and such, which is where we met with you, Merv, in Belize, which was an awesome time. And now we're solely focused on real estate, everything residential real estate, and also we are transitioning into commercial real estate. So we're loving life and having a ton of fun with it. And this panel is a very it's a very close thing to me, because we've actually had our best year in business ever because of some of the pivots that we've made during the COVID time. So very exciting.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, it's great to have you on the panel tonight, Deniz. Looking forward for more insight. And already, just from your intro, we've already grabbing some nuggets as already for those who are streaming. And I just want to welcome those again who are streaming in. Thank you guys for streaming in. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. The topic for tonight is the entrepreneurial business owner versus COVID. And so if you're joining in and you want to grab some tips and some nuggets, this is the place to be. Invite your friends, share the link, and also feel free to leave some comments. We're going to move on to our next guest, our next panelist for tonight. She's a good friend of mine. Again, that's my go-to statement, right? We've become friends. We work out of the same office space, and strangely, we don't see each other a lot, but we work out of the same space. But we're locked into what we do. But I think it was when we did Innovate Belize, we had Yuri as one of our opening keynote speaker, and that was like it. That was history for us. From there, it was just one thing after the next, and so it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Yuri Alpuche to you guys, to the panel discussion this evening. Welcome, Yuri.
Hi. Welcome. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Yuri. So good to see you.
Good to see you. And it's
Just
nice
like
to meet.
old times again.
I
Huh?
know, right? This is our new stage.
I love it.
Yeah, well, good night, everyone. My name is Yuri Alpuche. I live in Belmopan and I have a business in Belmopan. I work next to Mervin, like he said earlier. And just like Saidy, I recently started my own business during COVID. So it's been quite interesting getting a business off the ground, getting work through your business, and also trying to manage all the challenges with COVID. Um, my background is project management, and I also focus on digital transformation. I want to get into a bit of what that means for me and how I've managed to help some businesses to move towards that pathway. I started my career in the oil and gas sector. So naturally, oil and gas is big on health and safety. So I I was trained and trained and trained to always plan, to always have a procedure for something, and to always know what you will do if a worst case scenario arises. Like what Danielle said earlier, what will you do if that you find yourself in that situation? How will you manage that? So yeah, I look forward to the discussion and contributing to everyone's points.
Awesome. Welcome. All right. And so our final guest for this evening, say if she's there. Yep, she is. I want to introduce her. I met her through GLS, the Global Leadership Summit. That it was an initiative that started here in Belize, and I think it was on the first one, the first time it came. I was part of the team at the time, and it was through that initiative that I met Miss Tessa Usher. And she recently, I observed she recently launched a business. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, we got to get her on here as well. So it's an honor to introduce to you guys Miss Tessa Usher. I just want to welcome you to the panel discussion this evening. Hi, Tessa. How are you doing?
Hi. Good night. You guys hearing me?
We're hearing you. You're breaking up a little bit. And Miss Erlet Shepherd is saying, my Tia Tessa. So I think Miss Tessa having a little bit of technical issue.
You're hearing me, Mervin?
I'm hearing you now. You came in loud and clear just now.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Yes, I am Tessa Usher. With 16, I have 16 years experience in the insurance industry. I am an executive member with the Global Leadership Summit. That's how I met Mervin.
Yeah.
And we work hand in hand to carry out the summit. The summit which empower persons, help persons, and to create influence, positive influence in society. I am an active member of Rotary, and I am glad to be here tonight to be sharing with you guys and learning from you as well.
Awesome. Well, we are glad to have you with us this evening, Tessa. Thank you, guys. I want to say thank you to everyone for just being a part of the discussion and for dedicating your time and your experience and your knowledge to help others develop. Part of why I'm doing this this Creative Monday discussion is because I'm very passionate about inspiring, motivating, and helping to transform lives, providing tools and content that will inspire people, that will motivate people, and help transform their lives, right? And so through our experiences, I'm hoping that those who are watching and streaming in can walk away with nuggets for their business, for their lives on a whole, and how to navigate through times like this, right? So just some housekeeping again. I just want to ask us that if we're not talking, if we can mute our mics, and then when it's your turn to talk, that you just turn your mic on, and that's just so that we can keep the noise background noise on a minimum. Right, so let's hop into our first question. I sent out to several people this link and I was asking them what would you like to know, what would you like us to discuss on, and I got several. I'm not even sure if we're going to get through all these questions tonight. We're going to try our best. I'm just going to go down the list, and from the discussion as well, feel free to share any side story, any little thing, nuggets, experiences that you feel will add more value to those who are listening, right? And so our first question tonight, and I'm just going to throw it out there, and whoever wants to talk, this is a discussion. Well, I like hot seat discussion. It's not so formal that you wait till the next. Like if you want to jump in and chime in, like let's make it active and let's just have fun with this, right? So the first question for this evening, have you had fears throughout this time? And if so, how have you responded to the fears? And two, did the things that you feared materialize? That was the first question that I wanted to start out tonight. Who wants to tackle that first?
Well, I always say that sometimes the most dangerous thing about fear is the fear itself. It's your reaction to what might never happen. Could actually be worse than whatever happens. So I think with anything like this, there's sort of all the stages from first kind of you deny it, and then when you accept it, there's panic. You try to control the situation best you can, be it hoarding toilet paper or whatever.
I was trying to
right?
understand that, Bill. I was trying to understand the toilet paper thing.
Well, some psychologists were saying that, because a lot of it is control, right? There's so much we can't control in our lives. And when something like this happens, it just accentuates the anxious feeling. And I, it's tough to just sit on anxiety and let it pass and say, okay, 10 seconds from now it will be okay. So I think that's, it's worst thing you can do is overreact, but also fail to prepare is also bad too. So finding that happy medium is something we definitely stocked up on some food. Not too sure how supply chain would be, and plus, not to go out. I have allergen-induced asthma, so as the reports were coming out that it's very bad, and still more and more for someone with asthma to get COVID-19, I'm going to do my best to kind of not inhale the virus into my sweet lungs. I need, yes.
Yeah. Anyone else want to?
Yeah. In terms of fear, I think with my situation, my husband is a doctor, so I think my fear immediately went for him, handling the patients that came in, and he did in fact handle two of the patients that one of them who died. And so the fear was basically for him, and our fear was for our son. So we sort of process that, but how I handle that is by staying informed with the right sources. I think the thing that kind of fuel the fear with many people is, even though social media is a positive influence, information is being disseminated so quickly by anybody. And it could be false information, it could be true information, but it's so much that you can become overwhelmed, and that in itself causes a panic. So what I try to do is stay informed from the sources that I felt were giving me a more neutral sort of information. And it is hard now to kind of figure out which one is neutral, which one is biased. Media itself is, it exaggerates just about anything. But reading up and staying informed and having discussions, and to have an in-house doctor was a little, it was fearful, but at least we had discussions about it. And that kind of helped me to process that whole fear. So to me, it was information. It was reading and it was sort of contemplating your next move. So I started to read, and then I started to plan. So that's how I process everything. I plan and I think about what the next move would be. And Mervin, I started to write articles about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I sort of deal with it, dealt with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say for you guys, if Saidy wrote quite a few great articles, actually. I enjoyed reading them, just what it was like for her and her experience. And if you want to read those, you can find them on our site, tatsbelize.com. Her articles are featured on our site, and so it's a really good read and good perspective for this time. Anyone else want to give thought to this question?
Yeah, I can pitch in here. For me, there were several levels of fear that I experienced for the past few months. There is fear of business failure, even though I just started. Still, there was that fear. There was the fear of my family's health. There was fear for those that work closely with me, fear for them. So I plan all the time, and that's how I got through these past couple months. So I sat down and I planned out my business from now until next year. You should have done that anyway, but still, given the bare minimum, the worst case scenario, what will it take for me to, continue moving forward? So I did that, and I felt a bit better. I sat down with those that work closely with me, and I did the same with them. And I asked them, what is it that you need? Do you need my help in any way? And I helped however I could to ensure that they're taken care of. When it came to my home and my family, I mean, the kids were out of school. They still had a lot of schoolwork. So I had to now stay home more than I did before to also be their teacher. So I had to plan again and try to keep a healthy routine for all of us, because I found that it was a lot, all the schoolwork, the work, the home chores. It became a lot for me.
Yeah.
So I had to be okay with just doing a little bit less, and that's how I got through all of that.
It's good. For me, and I'm gonna allow the others to chime in. I must say, when this whole thing came, I was kind of like, is it for real? Like I was still in, I'm not sure if it's denial. I for sure wasn't. I didn't identify fear initially. I was kind of like, nah, this is just gonna pass. This is just another, one of those things. And my wife was more on the end of like, we need to seriously look at this. And I'm so thankful that I have a wife like that, because if it was up to me, I probably would be in denial and not be wrong. But she was like, we need to take action, we need to plan, we need to shift some stuff. And so I think my biggest when the fear kicked in was more in the financial era of kind of like, will our business be able to sustain for an extended period of time? Because several contracts went on pause, several projects just kind of like, we're not sure if we're going to do it anytime soon, maybe next 3 months, next 4 months. And so looking at that reality, for me, that started to bring up a lot of concerns in my heart, and kind of trying to figure out, okay, how will we navigate for the next 3-4 months, right? And so, we had to take action. We had to make some adjustments. We had to trim back on a lot. We had to cut back on a lot in how we operate, but still made sure that we were making steady steps forward. Yuri mentioned about doing a plan, and we did that at the beginning of this year. We were able to do a strategic plan for our company, and so which was very helpful for us, because even during this time, being able to look at the goals that we set, the strategies that we set, and making sure we're still steadily hitting each one of them as best as possible, right? And so, if nothing else, that was what brought sanity to me, that I was still focusing on something. I wasn't like, yes, it was challenging, but you're still moving, you're still doing something, you're still working on building your company, working on building the business even during this time, right? So yeah, that was my experience with it. Any thought, Deniz?
Yeah, so this is one for me. I'll address it from the business side of things. So when the news started happening with COVID, I knew that there was going to be a reaction in the real estate markets, but we didn't know what timing looked like because typically real estate will trail, stock market and other things, other indices a little bit slower. But we knew that there was going to be a hold on mortgages and that we, would have to figure out something with our tenants, because on the real estate side, not only do I buy houses to renovate them like you see on HGTV, but we also own rental property and have tenants that, pay rent every month. And so there was a lot for us to navigate through. But if I look at the beginning stages of COVID, the big thing that I did was I looked at what is my strategy to not just maintain or not just to survive during this time? Because I think as a business owner, as soon as we're hit with a fear of the unknown, we kind of get into survival mode. And I think it's very critical that when we're faced with a difficult time, that we need to figure out, how do we pivot out of this and not just survive, but how do we grow? How do we thrive? And so with that mindset, I started developing a plan to cut the fat with anything in our business that was not income generating or anything that didn't make sense for us to hang on to. We just cut it. And then the second thing that we did is we actually doubled down on marketing, because I always try to do the opposite of whatever the masses are doing. So, if you look at market cycles and recessions and things, history repeats itself. So I realized that everybody else is going to have an inverse reaction to whatever is going on. So the fear causes people to pull out of the marketplace and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to spend any money right now. I need to figure out what's going on. We actually decided, instead of taking that approach, we're going to spend more money on marketing, and we're going to double down on finding more properties to purchase, because we knew that we would actually be able to get a bigger market share in that time. And initially it can be kind of scary because you don't understand exactly how it's going to play out, right? A lot of people around you will tell you that you're crazy, or, that doesn't make any sense. But I think when you ask yourself better questions, you end up giving better answers. So instead of how do we survive, we said, how do we shift and how do we grow and thrive in this time? And so during COVID, we've actually had the best monetary fiscal few months, quarter that we've ever had. And, we can dive into particulars as far as, marketing and business strategy. But as a business owner, guys, I think that we really have to focus on mentorship as one. So surrounding yourself with the right people. And then number two, personally, I have to get with the Lord. And because my direction and my help doesn't come from my own intellect. I'd like to think that I'm a smart enough guy, but at the end of the day, man, it's when I'm in my prayer closet figuring out strategy. And, that's really, for me, one of the big things besides what I can plan and do on my own, just getting quiet and being still and saying, okay, how do we grow in this time?
Yeah.
Deniz, I think you really nailed something there. I think across industry, I think when there's a economic downturn, a recession, whatever, I have seen in the past organizations react to the first thing they cut are marketing, communications, things like that. I think marketing played a different role into what a brand was when I'd see this. But I think now is the time to lean forward, lean into it, communicate, connect. Now is the time when you're stuck at home is to reach out and to communicate your business, be it if you're a consultant, your own personal value that you bring. If you're a business, your values, your mission, that you're still there. I think a lot of business owners that I have talked to, I think a lot of the smart approach I saw is a lot of business owners reaching out to their network, to checking in with their network. So that's leaning into communication, making sure your network is vibrant. When you're not, when something like this that can't happen in a round table where we're all in the same room, trying to use technology to maintain these connections, grow them, is very important. And I think for businesses like yours, and you've seen it, the ROI on ramping up your communication, trying not to disappear, and communicating how you're dealing with it is something that's very important, not just for your clients, but also for individuals, for our own organization, because we have a SaaS and an app platform for home delivery of furniture, bulky items, and things like that. We had to take a look at our technology and our processes to ensure safety and security, and to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, be it the retailers, the delivery providers, or the people making these purchases. So safety protocols. And then we actually talked to our developers and said, okay, what can we do with our technology to make sure that it's contactless? So proof of delivery, things like that. You can take pictures within the app. You can sign off within your own app and not have to touch a delivery provider. So changing and adapting your business and then communicating that is very, very important to make people feel comfortable, because it's scary. You don't know, as this virus has only existed since the end of last year. So there isn't a long tail of research and insight into what's happening. So it's very important that you lean in, communicate, adapt, and change.
Yeah, Tessa, any thoughts on this question?
Yeah, I remembered, well, our first wave came maybe in the middle of March, when we had our first case, and initially it was not as fearful as it played out to be in the end, because most of what we do as advisors, financial advisors, is to meet people and to go out there and sit with persons and help them with planning their finances. And so the first month was off. I would say basically we didn't really do anything, because I was just calling my clients to reassure them that we are here and that we are going to be here with them in the long haul, because that's a commitment from our company. And going into the second month, I know that's when the anxiety started to step in, and I had to intentionally blocked out the negatives and start to listen to just positive messages. I started to be engaged more in reading and engaging in the word, and be reminded of what God's word says. Yes, we are in this world, but we are not of this world. And I remembered taking out, because I have a lot of resources, and I started to take out some of my resources that I thought were relevant. And I started to listen, and resources such as books like Life is Not Fair, but God is Good. And I remember I started to read those books and listen to positive messages through YouTube, Steve Harvey, Les Brown, and all those guys, and just slowed down much more on listening to the news, because what we put into our hearts, that's what gets manifested, and it's not good for you or it's not good for those around you. And I started to think different and think more positively. And then I realized that hey, I came up with with some great ideas. Okay, I'm not able to reach my clients physically, but I can still reach them through video calling them. And I started to video call my clients, and I realized that the feedback was positive. I started to encourage them. I encouraged them. Sometimes I would be on the phone with them for an hour or so. And then the ideas came to me, hey, why not do a webinar? Why not do a webinar to empower, to educate, to inspire? Because even though we are faced with what we are facing at this point in time, my service is still needed.
Yeah.
And I realized that people haven't stopped getting sick. People haven't stopped dying. People haven't stopped, they didn't stop aging. And as a matter of fact, there's even more risk to our company because people are more prone to sickness. We are more prone to dying because of the unknown. And that is when I got that wake up call, and I said, you know what? The company the company that I work for, Sagicor, is a great company because they engaged us every step of the way. We would have weekly webinars with the executives, and they would encourage us, and we're there for the clients, we're there for our customers, we won't leave them. If anything would happen, we're still going to be there. And so that alone gave you an extra boost. And so I decided that, hey, why not just do a webinar and inform our clients of the importance of planning and continue to plan, because a time will come when they would need the services that we offer. And so it was I would say a bittersweet road, but one that ended up having me now saying that, and I don't mean this in any way, but having me now saying, hey, maybe COVID wasn't bad after all that bad after all, because it really forced some things out of you, things that you thought that you couldn't have done, or things that you thought that you couldn't have maybe be engaged in. And so it brought out the best, I would say, in persons maybe like myself. It brought out that resilient spirit, that mentality that, hey, I know it's fear of the unknown, but the God we serve we don't serve a God that we know is fearful. So it's just tapping into that higher power and tapping into more positivity and engaging yourself and being intentional about what we do. Because if we're not intentional about being positive, it's very easy for us to stay in that slump, and it's very easy for us to just remain there and feel sorry for ourselves. But then realizing that there's an opportunity, even though it may not seem that way, there's an opportunity in all this.
Yeah.
Right.
And and that's one of the things I want to draw out, even in this time. And I made this post on my Facebook page, I think a couple days back, but transformation happens in the uncomfortable space. And many times we don't grow in the comfortable zone. And so it's important. While COVID brought its challenges, while it brought a lot of challenges with it, it also, and that's why I named this whole thing Entrepreneurial Business Owner. When you talk about an entrepreneur, it's someone who sees issues and sees problems and start to come up with solutions and see how can we find solutions to what's happening? How can we find answers to what's happening? And so we're in a time where many people globally, they're looking for answers. And I want to say this for each one of us. And if you're out there, your business is radically important. In this time, I've walked away with such a appreciation for every business and what they do. I mean, even the barber. I mean, I remember sitting home looking all gruff. I'm like, man, I can do a real good haircut right now. And I had such, when I remember when the whole quarantine was over and the social distances kind of lightened up a little bit, and I was able to go and sit in a barber's chair and get a decent haircut. You don't know how good that felt. And I just want to say that. So, you know,
Merv, I'm just lucky that my hairstyle is messy. So it's perfect. I've been cutting my hair since March. I might not even go back to my maybe to the guy you took me in Belmopan.
Yeah.
Or, right? He was great.
Yeah. But what I want to say to you guys, your business is important, and what you do, you're building, you're helping to contribute to the business community, the business ecosystem. So take it seriously. That's what I wanted. That's the point I want to get at, and that's what COVID did for me. It made me and even before COVID, like coming into this year, we saw the importance of our business and what we did and what we do, and how important it is. And we started to put more focus on it, more attention on it, and making sure that we're giving serious thought to the decisions we're making, to the structures we're building, to the team we're building, to the people we bring in, right? And so I'm shocked to see the time already, and I want to get through some more questions. So I want to ask our panelists if we can keep our answers concise as we go into this next segment, because we got a lot of questions in, and I really want to get to them. So let's jump. We've already answered this question. What was your first move? I think a lot of us gave answers. So what was your first move when COVID came? Does anyone else want to give thought to that before we move to the next question? What was the first move you made when COVID came as a business owner? I think we kind of covered that. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to jump to the next question. So have you diversified your product and service during this time? That was one of the questions that came in.
So I can jump into that one first if nobody wants to take it. So as far as diversification, I feel like this, guys. Let's go back to Merv when he was talking about the barber. If that was something that the barber would have thought about ahead of time and started marketing and maybe marketing himself in a different way, maybe he couldn't cut hair at that moment, but maybe he could have started marketing to where he's the only barber that you think about as soon as COVID lifts up. That's a diversification that he can do. He might not be able to do much about the situation at the moment, but he can market himself so when that moment passes, he's now the only barber that anybody thinks about. And so for real estate, we had to diversify by marketing ourselves differently, but still conveying the same message. So we were not able to go and do in-person meetings anymore with people. We were not able to do some of the marketing channels that we were doing before that caused us to be in direct contact with folks, but we were able to redirect marketing. So then we started more text message marketing, more ringless voicemail marketing. We ramped up our online marketing, and our teams, instead of going and door knocking, now we were just having different strategies to get our same message across. So that way, as things shifted and opened back up, we're the top of mind home buying group in the area. So I think that's a very good way that we can look at a bad thing that happens. How do we pivot? Well, we just become relevant. Find a way to become relevant.
Yeah, and I'm going to add another question to that question to kind of maybe spur the discussion on more. But one of the things I realized that I had to do was make decisions very fast. Like things was moving and shifting so fast, like from 1 week to the next. So what was that like? So we're talking about diversifying our products, our service, but what was it like for you in the decision process, and how quick you needed to make some decisions?
So I'll just segue off of my last point, and then I'll give somebody else the panel. I'm teaching our 16-year-old how to drive right now. And one of the big things that I'm working with him on is teaching him that when he commits to the turn, because what's happening is he's turning the wheel and he's not comfortable yet with looking out the window, turning the blinker on, turning the wheel, and pressing the throttle to go in the corner. So as he starts going, he's very slowly entering the road and he's very fearful. And instead, I told him, I said, Isaac, what you have to do is you have to look, make sure no cars are coming, and then you have to commit to the corner. And so that same thing is what we have to do as business owners. Is once we commit to a decision, it doesn't matter if we're turning the right way. He might supposed to turn right and he went left, but as long as he commits to a decision and presses on that throttle, he will wind up at a destination. It might not be the route that he originally had planned, but he will wind up there eventually. So you have to make decisions very quickly, because inaction is always going to lead you to a path where you wind up either broke, your business fails, or you're obscure and nobody knows about you. So, there's an old saying that says action beats perfect inaction, right? So imperfect action beats perfect inaction. So you're very right, Merv. You have to act quickly and don't worry about the end result. Just focus in the right direction and then go, and then work it out as you get there.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think as probably one of the only one that the art gallery in Belmopan, when I closed the doors because of COVID, we did have to diversify. And coming off of what Deniz said, there was no inaction. Even though we did not have that grand opening, our image or mission was consistent on social media. We actually dived into using social media as much as we could. And what was even more outstanding was the vision that we had to sort of push this buy local movement in Belize and in Belmopan. And as an art gallery that's dedicated to promoting any artisanal product, anything that is made locally, we sort of pushed that. We called out all of the supplier, all of the artisans that we had who had their natural products, and we said, listen, we will market for you, we will promote for you. We will hold the product in the gallery when the gallery opens. And we started to aggressively put that out there, that we are for Belize, we are for local. And it built up the momentum to a point where we wrote articles on why we should buy local. I wrote articles on why COVID taught us that local is important. So we started that movement. And so when we were able to open up, people came because they wanted to see where this gallery was. And people came because they know that the products that we were promoting would be at the gallery. And the artisans and the artists came because they felt confident that a community would have been created during this time, encouraging the creation of more products, encouraging the creation of more paintings, because nothing is more important in an era that has this sort of crisis than art, than creativity. Artists are very emotional people, and they created so many pieces and so many interesting pieces, many of which we will exhibit. And so that's what we were able to do. We sort of use that need to support local products, and we use that to market ourselves. And apart from that, the fact that we were able to reach out to people, we found so many small businesses online, and we sort of created this whole it's like an organism, and it continues to grow because we are supporting them. And through sharing, through liking, through emailing, through communicating, telling people about the product, etc., that's how we were able to diversify, because we moved from just being in our gallery to being a place where when you step in, you feel what Belize has to offer. And that is what we promote. We are promoting. And I think with that mission, we widened our mission beyond what we originally, and I'm saying we because there were a few people who signed on in the initial creation of the gallery, and Mervin was one of them. And we sort of did not envision what it became, because we were thinking about an art gallery that promoted art, music, and arts, but it became an art gallery that promoted Made in Belize. And that is what we pushed, and that is what we continue to push. And I think that's how we diversified. So now it's not made in anywhere else. It's made in Belize, and that's where you come to find it. And I think that is what people buy into, and that's what we decided to move with.
It's good.
The arts have definitely taken a big hit at this time period. I know I live in Boston. A lot of venues have closed for music, and I know galleries are doing what they can, trying to use. Just actually before this, I was in a virtual gallery visit with an artist. Panel, which was very interesting. You miss that physicality, that same interaction, but it's great to see that the support is still there, the enthusiasm is still there, and that galleries are still trying to connect art and artists to their community.
So what I want to ask us, what tips would you give to an emerging entrepreneur wanting to start a business, especially in a time like this?
I'd personally say make sure you don't commit to overhead that you don't need. One thing that I think COVID has taught everybody is you can do a lot of businesses virtually that society might have deemed previously as a brick and mortar type of business. I mean, just take a look at Amazon or Netflix or any of these places. Before you would have to go to a store to buy an item. Now you can pretty much order anything and have it delivered to your door. Before you would have to go to a movie store if you wanted to, maybe Blockbuster or something like that to go grab a movie. Now you just do it with the click of a button. So the first thing I would personally say is do not get any overhead that is unnecessary. Make sure that you count the cost before you build, because the general advice sometimes is not accurate. Get with somebody that is at the peak of their craft and kind of see if you can add value to them somehow, so that way, while you're adding value, you can learn through them what things you can look out for. Even though they might be 5-6 years ahead of you in their practice, you can learn a lot by shadowing somebody that's already in the craft. So those are two things you can do very quickly that will help you a ton. Don't over leverage yourself. Make sure you've got liquid assets available. Don't get a bunch of overhead and then learn from somebody in the business. Commit your time. Go talk to somebody and say, listen, I'll sweep your floors. I'm wanting to start a business like this. I'll sweep your floors. Just let me learn from you if I can.
Yuri, any thought on that question?
Yeah, I agree with you, Dennis, in that it's important for you to get with a mentor. That's what I did when I wanted to go into consultancy. I reached out to one of the top consultants here in Belize and abroad as well, and I wanted to know how did they start their journey, what has the experience been, what to do, what not to do. And that's how I started. So I grab a mentor. Definitely, when you're planning, you need to set up your boundaries. I mean, you don't want to spend more than you have to. The focus really should be on building your brand, building the trust of your clients, and delivering good work. People will come back to you. People will remain loyal to you if you're useful and if you're responsible and if you're doing good work. At the end of the day, that's what counts. You can have a beautiful branding campaign about your business, but if you're not delivering proper work, then you won't get another chance.
Yeah.
So ensure that you have the quality of your work down. Yeah.
It's good. And then any other persons want to give input on that? What tip would you give to an emerging entrepreneur wanting to start a business in this time?
Yeah, I just wanted to endorse what was just said in reference to mentoring. It can go both ways. You can, as well as get a mentor, you can be a mentor to someone as well. You have to, I don't know how many persons has read the book Who Moved My Cheese, but it might be a very simple book, but very relevant for these times. And the sooner you realize that the cheese has been moved and it's no longer business as usual, then the quicker we are able to adapt to the change that has occurred. For example, most of what we had done were done out. We had to go out wherever our clients were, which means if we had to travel to Punta Gorda, wherever Corozal, Punta Gorda, Dangrega, Independence. However, that took a 4 to 5 hour drive if we were going to Punta Gorda. But now you can meet with those persons via online and have that same discussion, have that same interaction with them in far less time than if I had to drive. And when we go to Punta Gorda, we go for a whole week, which would take us away from family time and take us away from all that. So it's to have that plan in place where cost cutting measures have been you put cost cutting measures in place, because that takes away from the income finances that you wouldn't necessarily have. Now we are more we are more open, or we are more relaxed in terms of movement, and it just therefore means that even though we are more relaxed because we are authorized to move about more freely now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go back doing things the same way. So looking at having a mentor is very important, because in our case as well, we have a mentoring program that was provided for us every week, and that really and truly helped, because it really put us different perspective on how you would normally see things. So that mentoring part, I would want to say that's like 100, because that's so very important for us to move ahead and move forward. Right?
It's good. A question came in from Chantel Neal. She commented, and I'm posting it here. She says, what is your take on going into debt to start a small business? And we have some financial experts in this panel, so let's hear from you guys.
So I can speak from previously being in the financial world and managing a fairly large book of business that I built up from scratch, and helping people manage their personal finances, their business finances. And then, in my own business, we're completely debt free. We have zero debt. And I would actually encourage people as much as possible, if you can, figure out a way to bootstrap it in the beginning, and figure out ways that you can market by not having to spend a bunch of money. You can, like in our business, we would actually handwrite signs and put them out. Debt is not always a bad thing, but you want to make sure that I think a lot of times entrepreneurs that are in that budding stage, that the pre-flower stage, they have great ideas and think that everybody is going to gravitate towards that idea. But maybe before you go into debt, test the marketplace. And see if your product or your service is extremely relevant for what you're trying to do at the moment. Because I see it too often where people go into debt trying to start this endeavor just to realize that they put money into the wrong things, or maybe they had to shift products or services in the middle, and now they have a ton of marketing materials just sitting to the side that's useless. So debt is not a bad thing, but I would personally say test the marketplace before going into debt, and try low cost things to do your marketing or whatever you're going to do to get the word out there. And that way, you just kind of do a small split test ahead of time.
That's good. Bill, you want to take a whack at that as well?
Well, I think, and this is on starting a business and during this time period. Well, I think on the debt question, I think that's really tough. I think the best thing to do is don't spend unnecessarily. I think there's a lot you can do. Like when I talked about doing marketing and leading and making sure you communicate, there's a lot you can do for free, and you don't need to spend a lot of money. As far as going into debt to start a business, you don't want to start from negative ground. Focus on whatever the core thing is you might be doing that business is based upon, and build up a little, because there's going to be awful costs to it. Be it, if you're going to found a business, any taxes, any regulation, any of that kind of fun stuff. There's a lot to it. And so I don't know, I might just pass on this question, but I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but I think a lot of times, as I said, like during this time period, it's good to lean in, communicate your values and the value you bring, and pivot if need be, and be clever. And where there is opportunity, do take it. And yeah.
No, I agree. I believe, especially during this time, testing the market is important, and we do have a lot of tools. We do have a lot of free resources that we can test the market, especially during times like this, because everyone initially we're thinking essential services, we're thinking essential needs, and so a lot of people are kind of in that thought vein, and so it's important to make sure that your great idea is really a good idea, and you do the homework to test it. You do the homework to test it, not just with friends and family, because sometimes our friends and family love us so much that they will say yes, it's great, when the truth of the matter is it needs work. And so test it with people that will give you honest feedback. And it's like with my wife, we're doing a little side venture right now, and we're just doing a test, and we said, okay, we're going to test for this period of time before we do anything more with it, because we want to make sure that what we're doing is going to be beneficial in the long term. And then we're asking people for honest feedback, not just nice feedback, because we want to improve, and we want to make sure the product we're putting out there is something that people actually want, and we find the right market for it, right? And so it's important. I would echo that, test the market, especially test the market, do a lot of.
So I would quickly add something there, just not to counter, but for, I want to give a hopeful message, because I'm working for a startup, and it's a profitable organization, but we are raising money for investors so we can grow, hire, and invest in the product, which is exciting. You would think that during this time period, investors, angel investors, VC companies, venture capital companies wouldn't be taking meetings. Instead, we have a lot more meetings. So this is a time of opportunity as well. I want to make sure I communicate that people do have time to make connections and to consider areas of opportunity and investment, if that's something you're looking for.
I just to add a little bit to that, in really and truly, yes, you need to do a feasibility study. And when people hear feasibility studies, they freak out. It's supposed to be it's like a lot, but no. Doing a feasibility study it basically just means to see whether or not there is a demand or a need for what you intend to do. Somebody made a comment just now, you have to owe before you own. That was funny. Sometimes you have to owe before you own, but the thing is not to owe too much, and that stems off of what Deniz said. Your overheads, keep it manageable. If you intend on taking a loan, ensure that it is manageable. It is to help with your startup, but it is not to send you into bankruptcy too early because you can't pay back the loan. Apart from that, when you're starting a business during COVID, during this period, there are two things I think that I had to remember. One is ensure that your support system is there. And when I say support system, I'm not only speaking about your family, I'm speaking about the people that you have around you, your friends, your acquaintances. Ensure that you have a very strong support system, because starting a business during a period like this can be a challenge. And without that strong support system at home, first, the pressure would probably be too much. You need that strong support system. You need your strong spouse, your partner, whoever. You need a very strong support system. People who understand that you're starting something during a period of adversity. Apart from that, ensure that your marketing. COVID has taught us that if it's taught us anything, is that there's so many ways to put your message out there without having to pay for it in truth. Social media itself can be used to an extent where you can send out a positive message and get your product or your vision out there. So use that to the fullest of the extent that it can be used. Have discussions and build a community of people around you that you want to promote, that will promote you. And Yuri, when you said ensure that you do good work, ensure that when you give your product to people, word of mouth is one of the fastest and most important means of marketing out there. So the word of mouth is very important. You can put out a lovely banner or build a website, but if somebody says that the product is no good, that's it. Yeah. So your reputation starts with that. So those are some of the things that you definitely need to consider.
Very good. And that brings me to my next question. What are marketing tools that you guys are using? What marketing tools would you recommend? What are some marketing tips, even in this time, that people can capitalize, business owners can capitalize on?
I can address first if nobody else is going to go. I would say one of the big things is marketing is the core of your business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you are not a marketer right now, you need to learn how to become a master marketer, and over the years, develop and fine tune that. I am in the real estate sector, but the reality is the moment my marketing stops, the income stream stops. So there are all kinds of cheap ways that you can market. I mean, if you look at my shirt here, I have a shirt that says "I buy houses everywhere I go." I stopped wearing brand names and all that kind of stuff. Why? Because why should I wear Nike or some amazing brand and market for them when I can market for my own business? So you need to look at ways that it's very cheap and effective, and then put your pride to the side. Because marketing is one of those things that it's sometimes not fun or sexy, but it's very necessary to get your business out there. So it's okay to knock on doors and do things the old-fashioned way if you don't have the money in the beginning. It's okay to one thing that a lot of people don't think of is give away your time or your service for a little while to where you can get positive reviews, because online reviews are one of the best forms of marketing that you can get, but you cannot pay for them, right? So, there are many things that you can do as far as marketing goes, but I would say in the beginning, just find some cheap ways: text messaging, ringless voicemail, making shirts, having flyers printed, doing some mail outs. Things like that can really, really help, and you can do it in such a way that your cost is low. And if you're in a marketplace where you can team up with another person, then you can have a lot of your marketing done either for much cheaper or for free. So for instance, we send out flyers and we team up with mortgage lenders, we team up with insurance companies, we team up with caterers, all kinds of stuff. And we will have our message on one side of the 6x9 flyer, and on the back side we have ad spots for like 6 other advertisers that want to be on the campaign with us. The cool thing is it allows us to get our marketing done for essentially free when the other people chip in and they get their marketing done on the same flyer as you. So there's lots of little things that you can do to think outside the box and not only, again, not survive, but thrive during this time.
That's good. That's good.
you were wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing one of the brands that we carry at the gallery. Yeah. Now, there are a lot of free things, and to go into the free things to market yourself, some of the tools, sharing other businesses and having them share your business, that kind of reciprocal altruism is something that that is free. Because if you share their information and they share your information, they have a following, you have a following, and together you just created an even larger following. Apart from that, there are certain tools. Again, I keep coming back to social media because we live in an era, we may have been born in an era that did not have social media, but we definitely live in an era that almost worship social media. And that is a truth that nobody can really deny. This is the era that we're living in, and we have to adapt to it. And so what I would recommend to give your viewers a feel of what product you're selling, there are things called live chat on Instagram. There's live chat on your Apple devices where you can live stream the creation of a product. For example, if you have a skin cream that you would have created, live stream the creation of it. Let them see what ingredients they have. They identify with the product faster when it's live streamed. My artists, some of them live stream the creation of the painting. What we're doing is having discussions on how the painting was created, so the viewers identify with what is being created. So to create that kind of message helps with the marketing and the purchase of the product. Apart from that, if you want to go into a way that you may have to pay, but it also is I find it to be very effective to create ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on websites that pop up there. And they're relatively inexpensive in according to how you want them to run. And you create that ad, you can have somebody, if you don't have the means of paying for it, ask a friend who can do it for you. You have to reach into all those networks that you would have created and kind of pull on all of that to market your product. So using an ad gets your business out there, right? So those ads, and you don't have to print anything. It shows up. And we have to remember that this is a digital age. So things that people don't necessarily not always want to pick up a piece of paper, but it's going to pop up there in front of you when you're online. Those annoying ads, sometimes they're annoying, sometimes they have information that can help you. So using those ads also is another relatively inexpensive way of promoting your business.
That's good. Anyone else want to give insight into this?
Well, if I could add a little, what prompted me to started my business page, Solutions Plus, was, like I said before, COVID. But that pushed me to do something that I always wanted to do, which was created my website page, created a Facebook business page, my Instagram page. And that's what happened. I believe that Mervin could correct me if I'm wrong. That's where he identified all that I have been doing.
Yeah. But Instagram.
So it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And because of that, I've found that a lot of persons have messaged me, and it's true. It's true that it's one of the more cost-effective ways to launch your business out there. Yes, a lot of persons have known me before. However, you tap into a whole additional new market that probably wouldn't have if it wasn't launched on social media or Facebook or Instagram, because that's, like my friend rightfully said, that's where a majority of persons go on. I guess they de-stress and look at what's going on or what's current. And so it's just forced me to do that. So the Facebook or the social media pages, they have really and truly worked, and I can
say, yes, it has worked for me, because the feedback I can measure and say, yes, these feedback or these messages or these queries were as a result of social media, right? So the social media pages is a plus, indeed a plus.
Just gonna, for me, definitely word of mouth referrals is a big, for my company for years. That has been a key part of how we keep getting clients, how we keep getting our work out there. We do good work, like what Yuri said. You do good work, quality work, and you present a good product to your client, and then they talk about it and they refer you to other clients. And that's been a key part of how we've been able to sustain our company over the years. And even during this time, one of the things we did, we started to go back within our network, because we've been around for 10 plus years as a company. So we started to look within our network, within our clientele, and say, hey, what other work can we do for you during this time? Like, so we've gone to some clients and like, you know what, we have a lot of time right now on our hands. What do we need to do with your website? What do we need to do with your marketing? Is there some design stuff we need to do? And we've done some exchange service, like in the earlier part of this COVID push. A lot of cash wasn't moving, just the reality. But so what we did was we had companies that needed services that we offered, and they had services that we needed. And so we started to do some exchange work to keep things moving. But then that's also a marketing, because when it's done, we can still utilize that as a product. We can use this and say, this is something we did for this company, or something we did, and they talk about it, right? So the word of mouth, the referral is very important during this time. And social media is talking as well. It's communicating to your audience. One of the things that we had to do in this time was, because so much was happening and so much was shifting so fast, what I was grateful for this opportunity, I had the time to step back a little and look at our messaging as a company, look at what we're offering and how we're communicating that, and make sure that it's in line with our values, make sure it's in line with our vision as a company and our mission. So in this last 3-4 months, we've been able to do even a better job in communicating clearly to our clients who we are, what we have to offer, and how we can help them with their different with what they need for their company moving forward. But that came through this time, and having time to really look and hone in into our messaging, hone in into what we're saying. Because I didn't want to just be out there marketing because we need work, and then we're getting an influx of work that's not relevant to where we're at either. I wanted to get the right work. I wanted to get the right clients that we can build our company and move towards the goals that we've set for this year. And we've been able to do that, thankfully, and thank God for that. But in terms of marketing tips, this has been, and I got this from Bill. I remember I came to Bill. I came to Bill. When was this? In March. I was like, Bill, I want to do Innovate this year. I want to do Innovate Belize this year. I want to do it virtually. And I had all these great ideas because I was hungry for something creative to do. Like we were in this COVID lockdown time, and I'm a creator, I'm a producer, I'm a highly creative person. And so I was itching to do something highly creative, and Bill challenged me, and he was like, focus on your core. How is your core doing? And that made me really look internally at our company and look at our messaging, look at our marketing and how we're marketing. So we were able to upgrade our site and do a number of different things. But one of the things a thought process that I've been using a lot is low effort, high impact. If I'm saying it properly. So not getting caught up with things that's going to require a lot of effort and have a low impact, but rather finding those things that have minimal effort but have a huge impact. So for instance, I have an iPhone. I'm putting out videos. I'm using my iPhone. It's easy. Just kind of hold it out there, do a quick video. and using the audio from my lapel mic. But then also, like, even for instance, we're doing this show. This is one of the things that we launched. I'm doing the Creative Monday discussion. Found out that with my iPhone, most phone can do that. You can record what's being played on your screen. So I needed a lot of smaller clips for my Instagram feed. So rather than go on my heavy duty Premiere program to do all of this major editing, I was able to, we have the one show, we upload it, and then I'm playing it on my phone, record that, just and then upload that short clip to my Instagram. So I'm creating more content with the existing content, but it's low effort. That took me 2 minutes to do, 2-3 minutes to do, versus sitting in front of a computer doing a mega production editing, right? And so there's a lot of tools like that out there that can have us get quick stuff, like canva.com, for instance. You need designs, canva.com. You can go there and there's a lot of templates that you can get nice brand out there. Even my wife, she's doing her art and she needed this time lapse, and I found out that Canva actually does video as well. So I use a template from Canva to do her video. And when you look at that, you thought, oh wow, this is a big production. But no, I spent maybe 10-15 minutes using Canva to do it. So find tools that will have maybe minimal effort on your part, but have huge impact. And impact comes from the quality, and that's something that you got to look for. But still, it doesn't take a lot of time for you. And so that's my advice to you guys in this time in terms of marketing.
Very good, Merv. I'd say too, you hit on a lot of really great stuff. And to bullet a couple of those things, I think that was using social media. Marketing is also getting people where they live, and people live digitally now. And so this point was made by our panel, is that using the power of Facebook and Instagram, either through very simple, basic, they can get you up and going with very cheap ads, and you can see what works. You can spend $10 in 1 week and get a lot of eyes on what you're trying to promote. So that's very good. People live in their phones. They live on these social channels. It's part of how we interact and communicate with people, as much as sometimes we may not like it. Yeah. Like I'll like be off of Facebook for a week or two and be like, oh man, I gotta go on there. But also that's a really good point. And then for business, Merv, you mentioned something, that reaching out to your existing clients and upsell. It's much cheaper to upsell to existing clients than it is to attract new. Yeah. So there's more money spent on you think of your cost of acquisition for a new client. But if you already have a pretty good base, but you want to optimize one, it's good relationship building. You should have a great relationship and understand that what their needs are, and they should understand that if they have questions, they can come to you. Merv, you and I have a client who just pinged me that we did some work together last year. Yeah. And we're the first people he thinks of if he has some questions on stuff. So, people like that, they just keep coming back. And then you talked a bit about, having a phone, having an Apple iPhone or whatever. Most phones all have everything now. It's a mobile production studio right here. Yeah. You can create so many great, content is king, or content is queen. And context is, I don't know, the jack, I don't know, the ace, I don't know. But creating compelling content, insights, communications will get you in front of the right people, and you can do that very nicely here. You can, and the budget is just your time spent for learning a new thing from Canva, or figuring out clips or something else. There are ways to do it. The democratization of creating content has been wonderful and can be very helpful for small business owners as you go forward.
Yeah, guys, we are actually winding down on time. I'm surprised how quick these times go. So what I want to do, there are some questions that we never got to, we'll find a way to come back to those questions and maybe see if you guys can. I'll send it to you, and then you guys can do quick videos, answer, and then I'll just put a collage video together of response from us so that we can be able to get the response to folks on that. But what I want to ask us to do as we're wrapping up for tonight, if we can just share our last tip or advice that you have to entrepreneurs, to business owners, whatever is on your heart, to empower them, to equip them, and to help transform what they're doing as well. So we could just go one by one quickly, just doing that.
I think there was something that I wanted to say earlier, and I think that's the perfect time for it. Never underestimate the power of your logo.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the power of your logo. Your logo will visually tell your customers who you are, and they will remember it. So when they see the logo, they should identify you right away. So never underestimate the power of your logo, and ensure that thought goes into the creation of it. And it's something that people sometimes don't think about, but for my gallery, it's one of the first things that I created. And I remember when we put it out there, it caused that image alone created a buzz for the business.
Yeah.
One of my friends, Microprint Graphics, did it, and he had to read the entire business plan. It was created according to what I wrote. And so it's something that you probably should consider. Never underestimate the power of that. And that is your initial image. That goes on your business card. That goes on your everything. So don't underestimate visually how powerful your logo can be in retaining and attracting customers.
Good. Anyone else? Any final thoughts, final comments?
Yeah, Merv, I would say one big message that I would give any business owners that are watching this is do not identify as whatever your business is. So, a lot of times, like, I'll choose real estate because that's what I'm doing currently. We identify as I am a real estate investor, or, I am an art gallery owner, or I am, a marketer, or whatever the case may be. And that is a mindset shift that I believe that business owners really have to make, because if you identify with what you do, then you'll have a hard time shifting out of that if the time comes, because we have to make sure we're not led by only our own thoughts and inhibitions when it comes to business, that we should be led ultimately by the Lord whenever we make business decisions, which is where the best direction comes from. So if there's a shift that needs to be made and you identify with what business you are, then sometimes you're not going to be bold enough to make that shift, because you're going to worry about what people think, because now you're transitioning to something else.
Good.
Okay, I can go. Being a business owner takes a lot of discipline. So you need to ensure that you're disciplined enough, that you're dedicating the time, the money, and reinvesting the money. And not only money, also investing in those solid relationships, because it can get lonely as well. So ensure that you're investing in solid relationships that are telling you giving you good feedback, honest feedback, like what Mervin said. And don't be afraid to fail. I have failed, and by failure, I mean I've put my heart and soul into certain bids, or heart and soul into certain careers that I wanted, and I failed. And I grew from that failure, and more opportunities came about because of me getting up, dusting myself off, and trying something different. So those are my takeaways for tonight.
That's good. All right. Bill?
Okay. I guess one of the things I would say is it's a tired phrase, but these are unprecedented times. But also having a business, being an entrepreneur, there's no true north, or there's no maps for these territories. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. There are days you feel like king of the world, and there are days you just want to jump out the window. and that's just it. It's knowing how to, when you feel those moments, step back and say, okay, I see what's going on. I'm just going to remove myself from the picture for a moment, and just get up. It's not easy. You fail, you win, you learn, and you apply what you learn, and you keep going and keep moving forward. The maps, there are no edges, so keep exploring, keep going forward. And not everyone's path necessarily is good for you. So learn, listen, find a mentor, and be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
It's good. All right, and we also Tessa, final thought.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to echo what he has just said. I believe in having a mentor during times of challenges, because it can really allow you to step out of your comfort zone and do things differently. I know for sure that has really and truly helped me in how I moved forward. It has allowed me to be more creative with my ideas, and it has allowed me to think outside of the box and do things differently. Look at your existing resources. Look at what is available. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. You can look at what has been done in the past before.
Yeah.
You don't have to be looking for huge amount of finances, as was discussed previously, but we can look at what we have right amongst us, or right in our homes, and work with what we have, because like we said before, we can test the market in different ways. I tested the market. If I didn't test it, I wouldn't have been able. I would know that I would have been able to sit behind my desk at home and conduct 4, 5, 6 interviews every day. Wow. I thought that the only way to do interviews was to actually get up and go north, south, east, and west, and drive for long hours and stay for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. But it has really triumphed new ideas in terms of being more innovative and creative in how we do business. And so it all has not been lost. And COVID has just spiraled new visions and new thinking, new way of thinking, and new way of doing business. And so it's just as an encouragement tonight to say, don't give up. Just look. If you don't have what it takes within you, there's always someone who would be more than willing to share their ideas. I am always willing to share ideas, and I can see from the 4 other guests that are here, Mervin, that they wouldn't have been on the show if they weren't willing to share ideas.
Yeah.
About how to move forward. So that is my what I wanted to share tonight. That look for someone who is going to sit with you and take you to the other level.
It's good.
I had that, and I am willing to be that for someone else.
Awesome. Yeah, and so I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank William, Deniz, Saidy, Tessa, and Yuri for giving your time, because that's what you guys have done tonight to give back. And I know that we're all committed to see a healthy business community be developed and built, not just here in Belize but globally. And just for me, in my final thoughts, I guess what I want to leave with those who are watching, working on your business is working on yourself. That's one of the things I've realized in my own journey. There's a lot of things within myself that initially I didn't feel comfortable doing, or it's kind of out of my comfort zone, or like Dennis said, I felt like I had to deal with the pride within my own heart, or the insecurities within my own heart. But the more I grabbed the whole of the vision of what I believe God had given me for my company, the more I grab a hold of that and believe that and internalize that, it started to bring transformation to me as well. So working on your business is working on yourself, and so just embrace it, enjoy the journey, learn from the journey, learn from the challenges. You will make mistakes, you will have losses along the way, but learn from it, grow from it, and try keep those as minimal, and bring people into your inner circle that can help navigate and mentor you in moving forward. I just want to thank everyone who tuned in. I want to thank everyone who was a part of this, who stayed with us till the end. It was a pleasure having you. I want to thank all our guests again for being here. And I just want to take a moment just to thank our sponsors. For Task Belize Home Investment Group, Elevate Consulting, The Art Shop, William Neidlinger, William, Solution Plus, and all those who have jumped behind this vision. And if anyone's out there who want to be a part of this discussion, reach out to me, info@mervinbudram.com. Anyone who wants to find out how you can be a partner, I actually have a Patreon account. We are creating more content. If we want to create more content that inspires, that motivate, and help transform lives, and so we're gonna keep pushing that, keep doing that. If you want to find out how you can be a part of that vision and that mission, go to patreon.com/Mervin Budram. Or if you just want to make a one-time donation, you can also do so. Reach out to me as we're creating more content like this, right? And so I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to our guests, our panelists, for being a part. And I'll see you next week, Monday, for another edition of Creative Monday Discussion. And if you have questions or topics you think you want us to talk about, send that to me. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great evening.